something related to the North Wilkesboro discussion. Of course, North Wilkesboro and Martinsville, the only tracks from NASCAR's inaugural season back in 1949 that host a race today. If you think about Formula One, their first season with the current World Championship format was the next year in 1950. We still have Silverstone, Monaco, Spa-Francorchamps, Monza. They're all still on today's schedule from the original season there as well. But despite the historical significance, F1 continues to expand. They've said that they're willing to drop even some of the most historic races in order to make room on the calendar. Monaco's often brought up because it's mostly a procession nowadays. Silverstone's brought up when F1 conflicts with the British Drivers Racing Club. And even Spa's already been on and off the calendar a few times before. So in your opinion, how important is it for Formula One to keep some of their historic tracks, especially as we add more races on street circuits and expand the calendar, sometimes with more controversial locations like Saudi Arabia?
It's really funny this comes up now because Stefano Domenicali, who is the head and big boss of Formula One management, who own Formula One and run with it with Liberty Media as well, he was saying as well that the classics will stay. So the Silverstones, the Spas, the Monzas, the Monacos as well. At the same time he's been saying that, Silverstone is the only one that looks realistically the chance to stay. Formula One know what a goldmine they've got at the British Grand Prix. Worldwide now it is known as the best race of the season, and everybody's been excited about it for the last 3-4 years now, even during the COVID pandemic as well. We had two of them and they were classics, and sort of put it on a map. And then the atmosphere you get at the British Grand Prix, it's one of their biggest selling points of the year, alongside the race at COTA as well. And they desperately tried to get Miami and now Las Vegas in to get the same amount of people in. But no, the people who go to the big events at Silverstone and COTA are the diehard fans now. So they want to keep that on. But places like Monza is even under threat because last year there was a load of things saying that the facilities there aren't up to scratch, and let's face it, they're not as well. Monza has got woeful general admission and grandstand as well. They are severely lacking as well on accessibility as well for people who are able-bodied and people who are disabled as well. The commentary boxes and grandstands there haven't been updated since the I think 1960s, early 70s, and they are woefully always causing problems. Last year as well, the commentators who were in the commentary boxes, they just one of them had a bout of claustrophobia as well. It is one of the tightest commentary boxes as well. Look in front of you both, gentlemen, the size of your desks as well. That is literally the size of your commentary box you would have at Monza, and you're expected to have 3 people in there standing alongside, plus all your monitors. They're not great. So Monza's coming under, despite how great the race is, the facilities need upgrading. Looking at Spa, they've upgraded their facilities as well. They've put everything right, but it's the funding, the lack of funding that they haven't got. So they're looking like they're going to be in a rotation. Looks likely we're going to see that with the French Grand Prix at Le Castellet. It was an interesting race the last 2 times we visited there, so that's something. But the French Grand Prix, which arguably is where motorsport began in Pau, France, in 1920s as well, we haven't got a race there. And that's an historic Grand Prix, so that needs fixing. We haven't got a race in Germany as well. Either Hockenheim or the Nürburgring. We haven't had one since 2020 as well. And the German Grand Prix is one that everybody always says because you've got 2 great tracks at the Nürburgring and the Hockenheim Ring that everybody loves. We always get a great Grand Prix there, not on the calendar due to funding. We've got now as well Monaco, which has now got, a 3-year extension deal to run until the end of 2026. That's come in, but with rules and regulations around it. They've lost their early start as well, so they are no longer starting on a Thursday in order to have the fashion parade Friday evening and then Saturday, Sunday for the traditional weekend. They now conform with everyone else on the calendar with running on a Friday. The reason we haven't seen Formula 3 run there as well in the past is because it was part of Monaco's contract that a Euro Alpine series would run there. So that's why we saw the Formula Renault 3.5 series run there for so many years. That series folded. It was replaced by the Euro Cup Championship as well. But under the new deal, it now brings it in line with more Central European races. So Formula 3 returns this year for the first time, alongside Formula 2 and Formula 1, per the regulations. Telly Monte Carlo, who, as we all know as well, was the bane of our lives at the end of May for television coverage, which frankly is, I could do better with an iPhone standing at Sandoval than they could to miss Stroll and Gasly's, Vettel and Gasly's thing a couple of years ago and put it on Stroll. So,
shots fired.
Yeah, they've gone. They've gone. Formula One now this weekend are producing the coverage themselves, which is going to give a whole new feel to Monaco. We're going to see a lot more of the action because people always complain, oh, Monaco's dull, nothing ever happens. That's because we miss around about 90% of what actually happens in the Monaco Grand Prix.
Wow.
So I'm expecting to see a great weekend, and Monaco changed the minds of people. It's also going to rain, which is always beneficial for Monaco because it just makes it completely unbelievable. But the biggest problem with the classic circuits isn't to do with the fact that you can't overtake with them. It's the fact that the cars are too big for them because they have grown so big now as well. Yeah, they're big and they're long. So the width and the height is too much. So we need to slim the cars down and then we can race at these circuits more often. I'm sort of glad that we didn't have a race this weekend. It was obviously understandable to have Emilia Romagna cancelled, but I'm also glad because there's too many races on the calendar. It's getting to the point where you don't want to race. And I find it so annoying as well. It's a European race that got cancelled at a classic circuit of Imola. And I don't like racing in Jeddah. It always frightens me, the track as well. There's a couple on there that I don't like when we come around to it. Miami, I was sort of excited for, and then was reminded very quickly why it's not a good idea to race there. And I just think F1 at the moment are going for these glitzy and glamoury venues in places that just cannot host Formula One races. It is ludicrous to think that it's possible. Vegas, I'm still very much looking forward to. I'm going there with an open mind because it does look quite interesting. But I think as I said all year, we're going in towards a war between Formula One, the FIA, and the teams and the drivers over what the direction of the sport is. And it's going to be ugly. And it's the fight as well. This classic circuits as well, it's a small iceberg and it's bullets being fired across in this war as well. So I think Monaco was sort of the linchpin as to where the classic stands. So it's very timely that question gets brought up because so much has been happening behind the scenes about where the DNA and the spirit of Formula One is. And you're probably going to hear it talked about a lot over this weekend with the Monaco Grand Prix as well, because of all the changes that you're going to see. The only positive thing I'm taking to this weekend is that, from what I understand, we're going to get a new start position for the camera at Monaco. So no more looking at the top two from about 50 meters back with a big advertising banner across. You're going to get a sideways shot straight down the grid with the lights, and you can see everybody making a good start and not just the top two at the front of the grid slowly pulling towards you. So there's going to be some differences. So yeah, that's basically it with classic tracks.
You were talking about archaic commentary areas at Monza. I was thinking I can do you some better, some worse ones in the high school play-by-play world. I have some pictures of different places I could show you where it's probably a lot worse.
I don't doubt that as well. I think everything needs a good upgrade, doesn't it?